Okay, it's preparing to go live now. My apologies. I'm just waiting to make sure that it actually goes through. While we're all waiting, oh, can everyone just write their name? Okay, we're live streaming. I'm just going to put the
Randy, did you hear? You're good. It's live and recording.
putting the attendance link in the chat, and now we can get started. Okay, so welcome everyone. I'm going to have the Spanish interpreters make their announcement.
Buenos días a todos. Para las personas que quieran escuchar esta llamada o esta conferencia en español, puede digitar su número desde su dispositivo móvil al 347-966-4114. Luego de esto, el número de conferencia o el ID de la conferencia es el 541-000-636, numeral. De nuevo, el 347-966-4114. El ID de la conferencia es el 541-000-636, numeral. Por favor, mantenga sus micrófonos apagados en todo momento para no interrumpir la interpretación. Gracias. Spanish announcement complete.
Thank you, Carolina. Josephine, can you put the slides up?
Yes, 1 second.
Okay, so it is 9:38. We're going to call this meeting to order. Someone like to make a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Violetta. Second?
I second. Okay.
Thank you, Vandana. Okay, so the attendance form is in the chat. If everyone can just put their district in front of their name. If you have an issue, you can just write it in the chat and we will rename you. Josephine, can you do attendance?
Yes. Okay. Sorry, too many things open right now. All right. District 1. District 2. District 3.
Here.
District 4.
Here.
2 is also
District-
here. Not sure if you caught it, Josephine.
Sorry, my bad. My bad. I went off mute. Not quick enough. District 2.
District 5. District 6. District 7. District 8. District 9. District 11.
Here.
District 12. District 14. District 15.
Here.
District 16. District 17.
Great morning to everyone.
I'm sorry, that was 17, right? District 18. District 20, I am here. District 21.
Sorry, that's me. I'm here.
22. District
Hi,
20
good morning. I'm here.
District 23.
Grand Rising.
District 24. District 25.
I'm here.
District 26. District 28.
Morning.
District 26 is
Morning.
here.
28,
Good morning.
I saw them. District 29,
Priscilla.
31,
Good morning.
30. I saw Becca, she's it's D75,
Good morning.
Brooklyn High Schools,
Present.
Bronx High School,
Present morning.
Manhattan High School,
Present.
Staten Island High School.
Present.
Okay, Manhattan High School, is it Erica?
It's Rosa.
Rosa, we don't have you. We have Erica.
Well, as per Anthony from last meeting and as per legal, I'm the representative. I'm not sure what to tell you.
Anthony, please advise.
Hey, Rosa. We haven't, after more information, we haven't received your Talented Unlimited minutes yet. So we're waiting for that. And then you can sit on CPAC.
Thank you, Anthony. Okay, next slide.
I think okay, hold on.
You can go to etiquette 4.
Hold on, my computer just froze. What slide do you see?
2. We need 4.
Okay.
Priscilla?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Priscilla Montero, Second Vice Chair. I will go over our CPAC meeting procedures and standing rules. To ensure that our CPAC meetings are run smoothly, fairly, and in compliance with our CPAC bylaws. What happened?
Josephina went back to the first slide.
I don't know what just happened. Let me stop sharing. I'm sorry, I don't know what just happened.
Priscilla, you could just do a brief summary.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
Of course, we would have technical issues today. It's on 2. It's on 3. There
You
you go.
see it moving? Okay.
Now it's
We're
now
here now. Okay.
Okay.
All righty, so let me just speed through here. Please do not speak until recognized by the chairpersons, who will be assisted by the first and second vice chair. Please limit your comments, questions to 2 minutes to ensure maximum participation by the greatest number of representatives. Remember that the order of speakers per our bylaws is executive board, voting members, non-voting members. If there is time and they are recognized by the voting members, non-voting members, if there is time, we're recognized by the co-chairs. We want to make sure that we hear from as many people as possible during the course of this meeting. Therefore, there will be times where we do not call on someone who has just spoken. Please understand that this is an attempt at fairness. All voting members have first seating preference at the table when in person and virtually via Zoom. Membership must be clearly identified by displaying the membership identification plaque when in person or by their district via Zoom. I'm going to skip all of that. You guys should know the rules. If you have any questions or concerns, you may contact us at info@cpacnyc@gmail.com. For the purpose of voting on any CPAC business, only the voting members or designee of your district who is eligible to vote shall be seated at the table and or virtually or in person. For additional information on meeting rules and procedures, please refer to our bylaws, which is available upon request or at our website, cpacnyc.com. Please follow the Robert's Rules of Orders and parliamentary authority used to govern unless inconsistent with these bylaws. Are there any questions? Okay, back to you, Randy.
Thank you. So like Priscilla stated, to wait to be recognized, we're going to be respectful. We could agree to disagree as long as we're respectful to one another. Please don't unmute yourself. Wait to be called on. Please don't be disrespectful. And we haven't had the need for infractions, so we're just going to go to the next slide. I do not know why that is here. So some announcements. Today is just not,
I'm sorry, I don't know what is going on with this.
it's
Let
okay.
me share it again.
So some announcements, the YouTube chat will reopen this year. We hadn't had it open last year, so it will reopen, and our new live stream coordinator is Shirley Auben. Shirley was co-chair for the past for 3 years with me, so we appreciate her being here and welcome her to this position. Shirley, do you want to say a few words?
Good morning, everyone. No, I'm good. Thank you. I'm glad to be in community with all you this morning.
Thank you. So it's the chat is not open actually today. Shirley is in transit, but starting next month, the chat will be open. We are starting something new this year with interpretation. We started with Spanish this month, so anyone who is listening can receive interpretation live in the Spanish room. Parent-teacher conferences are coming up between this week and next week for middle school D75 and high school. Middle school applications is the deadline is December 12th. Then April 15th, the middle school office will be released. And for high school, the deadline is December 3rd. And March 5th is the high school offer release. Next slide. We know that many of you have been asking for resources for support to access food. So these are some of the information that was gathered by FACE. So thank you, FACE, for sharing and supporting our parents across the city. Next slide. We can share this in an email with the links. It's broken down citywide and then all the boroughs. So you can screenshot it if you want, or we'll be sharing this with the voting members after our meeting. Next slide. These are our executive board members. We had our elections October 9th, and these are the new members. So we have Becca Staley, the District 30. She is the first vice chair. Priscilla Montero, District 29, second vice chair. Ashley Malero, recording secretary, District 75. Violetta, oh, that's a misprint, is District 21. Violetta Sabovic is the corresponding secretary. Bronx High School is Rima. Rima, I don't want to butcher your last name.
Izquierdo.
Izquierdo.
That was great.
I can roll the R's too. Is the treasurer, and our live stream coordinator is Shirley Auben. Next slide. So our CPAC committees, these are the dates and the schedules. An email was sent out to all the CPAC committee chairs and co-chairs asking to meet. We only received responses for 2 of the chairs, so we're going to try to get together to make sure that we have accurate information. We want to make sure that if anyone would like to join one or more committees, you could join as many as you like. The voting members received the link. It's in the questionnaire that you received, and the members of the community can join by going to cpacnyc.com, and under the standing committees, you can see the links to view the committees and the link to join. So you can join as many or as few as you're interested in. Next slide. So the minutes were sent out to the voting members. Josephine, can you make it a little bit bigger? An email was sent out to the voting members that had the minutes, the resolutions, the position letter, all the information was there. So would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Vandana Bonilla.
Thank you, Vandana. Can I get a second? Would someone like to second the motion?
District 31 would like to second the motion.
Thank you, Melissa. Any objections? Okay, the minutes pass. So we're a little over time, but we're about there. So we have our first presentation by the Office of Student Enrollment. I think I saw Nadiya.
Yes, hi, thanks for having us. My team is going to share a slide deck, if that's okay.
Yeah, hi everyone. I just sent a share request.
I shared it, didn't go through. Okay. You should have it now. Okay, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome everyone. My name is Ahmad Shilleh. I lead the work on the middle school admissions team. I'm also joined with my colleagues, Nadiya and Kristen, who leads the high school work.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Kristen. I'm excited to be here with you.
Let's begin with the middle and high school admissions timeline. Currently, the middle and high school application is open. The deadline for high school is December 3rd, and the deadline for middle school is December 12th. Offers are expected to be released for high school on March 5th, and for middle school, April 15th. And soon after, waitlists will open, and they should stay open until September 2026. So the best way to apply is online at myschools.nyc. Whether you're applying for middle or high school, this is where you'll go to explore all your school options, build and submit your application, and eventually receive your child's offer. For high school applicants, you will also use My Schools to register for the Shazat and upload any additional materials. If you already have an account, you can just log in. But if you don't have an account yet, families can contact their child's school counselor for a copy of their account creation letter. And if they can't get in contact with their school staff, they can also reach out to a family welcome center for assistance. So for purposes of middle and high school admissions, there are two seat groups. On the left, we have students with disabilities, and on the right, we have general education seat groups. Families can't choose which seat group their child is in. This is based on the child's individualized education program, also known as an IEP. For students to be considered in the SWD seat group, they have to be receiving more than 20% of their instructional programming in special education. And just as a note, related services such as counseling, occupational therapy, speech and physical therapy do not get factored into the 20% threshold. So you can explore your options on, as I mentioned, where you submit your application. You also explore your options on myschools.nyc. You use the search and filter options to find schools based on what matters to families. So from location to college and career pathways, they can search for specific admissions methods and interest areas. So you can look up information by typing specific schools into the search bar. You can also type other keywords to find programs that meet your child's needs and interests. You can search by activities such as dance or courses such as computer science. So let's discuss admissions priorities. So if there are more applicants to a program than seats available, students would be considered for offers in groups based on that program's admissions priorities. So all applicants in priority group 1 will be considered first. Then if seats are still available, applicants in priority group 2 will be considered next, and so on. As an example, a program may have a priority for Queens students. This means that all Queens applicants get offers before any non-Queens applicants. So if you're applying with multiples, so what are multiples? Multiples are twins, triplets applying to the same grade level who share a guardian connected to the same My Schools account. So how do families apply together. Families can choose to submit identical applications for their children, so they have the same random number. So you only need to add choices to one child's application, and before submitting, My Schools will ask if you want to copy those choices to your other child's application. By doing this, your children are connected to the strongest random number generated for your group once the application closes. So this is important is when offers might differ. So even with identical applications, students may not always receive the same final offer. This happens when certain program characteristics apply and only one student ranks high enough. So this is for screened, audition, or language criteria programs, because admissions is based on individual assessment or criteria. Different seat groups. So if one of the siblings is in GE and the other is in SWD, they might not receive the same offer. And I just want to highlight that there is no sibling priority in high school admissions, only for middle and elementary. Let's talk about admissions methods. So an admissions method is the way a program considers applicants for available seats. So in middle school, programs that use the open and zoned admissions methods do not rank applicants. Programs that use screened, language criteria, and audition, they do rank applicants, and they're admitted in an order determined by the selection criteria. For high school, programs using audition, screened with assessment, and language criteria rank applicants. And programs using EdOpt, screened, open, and zoned do not rank applicants. Some middle and high school programs require extra work, and these have early deadlines. So audition programs require you to submit a virtual audition through My Schools, and your offer is based on your score. Screened with assessment programs may require an extra step, like submitting an essay or a portfolio. Your offer is based on both your grades and your assessment score. For middle school, some District 21 talent programs require you to register to test, and students are admitted based on that score. So families should always make sure to check their My Schools for the exact requirements for each program on their application. And I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Kristen.
Great. Thank you so much, Ahmed. So we did want to just highlight the chance of offer functionality in My Schools. This is only for high school admissions. But when 8th graders start their application in My Schools, they are able to see their chance of getting an offer to most of the programs that are available through high school admissions. So they can see it in two places in My Schools. What you see right now is on the search tab. So when you're looking through the My Schools directory to find high schools and programs that are of interest to you, families will see these the orange bars next to each program that show each child's individualized chance of receiving an offer. So all of the information that determines how offers are given go into this chance of offer. So that includes the information Ahmed just went over. If the student is in GE or SWD, the admissions methods, any priority structure, all of that is taken into account for each student, and they see their chance of receiving an offer. 3 orange bars means they have a high chance of receiving an offer. 2 orange bars means they have medium, and 1 orange bar means low. We did release this functionality last year, and it's back again this year, and we're really excited and want to make sure all families understand how to predict their chances of getting an offer based on this information. We also just wanted to briefly mention the specialized high schools. There are 9 specialized high schools in New York City, and they have a separate admissions process. So the top 8 you see on this list are the testing specialized high schools. For students to be considered for these schools, they need to register and take the specialized high school admissions test, or the SHAZAT. The registration deadline has passed, and yesterday was the school day administration where most 8th graders in New York City took the test. But there is the ability to submit a late registration if anyone has missed it, where they can talk to their current school or a family welcome center to figure out what their options are for taking the SHAZAT. And then there is one audition specialized high school, LaGuardia, and that is also a separate application you need to submit, as well as upload your audition files. And then just ending it up by saying some tips we always give for how to submit a balanced application. There is no limit to the number of programs you can list on either your high school or your middle school applications, and we encourage all families to find 12 or more programs that you really want to attend. And then for high school specifically, make sure you don't only list low and medium chance programs. We want to make sure you have some programs where you have a high chance of getting an offer. And students who list 12 programs or more on their application are much more likely to receive an offer to one of the programs on their application. And really, we just want to make sure you know that your choices matter. List programs in your order of preference with your top choice as number one. There is really no downside to listing programs this way. You're always considered for your first choice. And high schools or middle schools, the receiving schools cannot see the order you place programs on your application. One last thing to highlight is that there is a My Schools event calendar. So as you are looking at schools you're interested in My Schools, you can find some events that those schools may be hosting, such as open houses, school tours. So definitely pay attention to the calendar to figure out which schools you want to visit and learn more about. And then we'll just leave it here with some resources. It's links to all of the web pages with information about the high school and middle school admissions process, as well as information about our family welcome centers, and then the email addresses for both middle school and high school admissions that anyone who has any questions can email us and our teams will get back to you as soon as we can. So that is the our presentation, and we're happy to take some questions.
Thank you. If you have questions, can you just please use the raise hand feature on the bottom of your screen? That was an amazing presentation that nobody has questions for you guys.
Wonderful.
So thank you so much. And if anybody, can you just put your emails in the chat? If anybody should have questions after and thinks about it, they can just send an email. Thank you so much. Okay, it is 10:03. Oh, we caught up on time. That's good. I saw some of our SCA friends. Oh, when do the Shazat results come out?
Great. So all high school admissions results come out together in March. So you would receive information about your high school offer as well as Shazat results and any offers at the same time in the beginning of March.
Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. And I see we have Danielle and Julie here from the SCA.
Hi, yes, we're on.
Okay, you need co-host.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, you have co-host rights, and the floor is yours.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Julie. I'm part of the School Construction Authority's External Affairs team representing Queens North. Danielle, if you want to do a quick intro.
Sure. Good morning. Thank you so much for inviting SCA to present this morning. My name is Danielle Sheff. I am with School Construction Authority, External Affairs for Queens South. Thank you.
So I'm going to share my screen and I can then do the presentation. Just let me know if you can see it.
We can see it.
Is everyone able to see it? Okay, great. Okay, so I will get started. So today, the presentation that we're going to be giving is the School Construction Authority's Operations Overview. This presentation was given to the CECs, but you know, this is also information, general information about the School Construction Authority. So on the agenda today, I'm going to go over the 5-year capital plan overview, going over capacity and capital eligibility, capital improvement projects, building condition assessment surveys, also known as BCAS, Reso A funding, the CEC request form, and contact information for our agency. So the 5-year capital plan, this is from FY 2025 to 2029. The total amount of funding is 20.5 billion. We have 6.98 billion allotted for capacity. So that includes new seats such as new buildings or annexes. We have 2.28 billion allocated for healthy schools, and this includes projects such as electrification, gymnasiums. Capital improvement, we have 7.54 billion allocated, and that's for projects on existing buildings, making sure that our buildings are safe and sound. We also have mandated programs, and we are allocated 3.72 billion, and that includes things like wraparound insurance and compliance with local laws. So capacity planning. This is the seat need process. Every year, the New York City Public Schools and School Construction Authority, we undertake a comprehensive assessment of current building utilization. So thinking about the seats that are needed. We project future demand for school seats, and those are based on things like enrollment trends, birth trends, immigration trends, housing, rezoning, class size compliance, and other demographic factors. Reducing class size. So for New York City Public School strategies, the individual class size implementation plans were reviewed and developed by principals in consultation with school leadership teams. School plans were jointly reviewed by New York City Public Schools, UFT, and SCA. Approved school plans receive funding for resources such as teacher staffing, room conversions, and supplies to support additional classrooms. And they work closely with the SCA to identify new sites and identify sites for new schools and creative ways to expand capacity. For SEA strategies, we work on additions or annexes on existing school campuses if it's possible. We acquire property for new school construction, lease appropriate existing buildings, and we also work on room conversions. So how does SCA choose locations? We focus on overcrowded areas. So we look for real estate in districts and sub-districts with many overcrowded schools. And then we also try to support class size compliance. And so we work with the New York City Public Schools to identify opportunities to create additional seats in existing buildings. And there is citywide funding for nearly 16,000 seats to target individual schools. Real estate considerations. In terms of identifying real estate, we work with brokers in each of the 5 boroughs to help identify appropriate real estate for school construction, but we also take referrals from community members. Standalone schools require at least 25,000 square feet of land property for new schools. Larger sites that allow for adequate play space are strongly preferred. Mixed-use buildings are also considered. We need approximately 120,000 square foot condominium units within mixed-use buildings with outdoor play space. In terms of acquisition process, we ask the local community board and community education councils to host presentations of the site. And then after environmental review is concluded, the site is presented to City Council for approval. How long do projects take from inception to completion? So for capacity projects, site acquisition, actually acquiring the site can take up to 18 months, approximately 18 months, depending on regulatory requirements and approvals. Design of the space requires about 12 months. Bid and award takes about 3 months. Permitting, construction, and inspections can take approximately 3 years, depending on the site. In terms of communication methods, we post construction notices. We have dedicated SCA liaisons. We present during site selection, and we have our yearly CEC presentations. What is capital eligibility? So the SCA is entirely funded with capital dollars. So that means every project we pursue has to comply with the City of New York Comptroller Directive number 10, which is charges to the Capital Project Fund. So that means all funds must be used for long-lived assets rather than operating expenses, minor purchases, or maintenance. So our project requirements include a minimum of $50,000. It has to provide a permanent enhancement to the facility, Construction work must have a minimum lifespan of 5 years, and if it's computer hardware, it must have a minimum lifespan of 3 years. So essentially, it needs to be a long-term and permanent addition to the school. Some examples of capitally eligible projects include new construction, upgrades to HVAC, plumbing, or electrical systems, auditoriums, gyms, libraries, science labs, playgrounds, athletic fields, security cameras, and mobile science carts, desktop computers, laptops, or smart boards. Examples of capitally eligible projects. So these are things that the SCA does not fund, includes building maintenance. So painting, flooring repairs, fixture lease, playground upkeep, broken windows, auditorium chairs. Window air conditioning units and water fountains are not capitally eligible. Books, desks, chairs, tables, bookshelves, photocopiers, etc. And staffing for and after school programs are also not considered capitally eligible projects. Becoming a capital improvement project. So how does a project become a project is first is Division of School Facilities reported issues. The Building Condition Assessment Survey that is on every school's website. Reso A projects and CEC project requests. So some examples of projects that we do are exterior masonry, windows, parapets, flood elimination, roof replacement. We also do accessibility projects, playgrounds, auditoriums, and gymnasium upgrades. So how long do these projects take from inception to completion? For capital improvement projects and Reso A funded projects, pre-construction, which includes scope design and bid awards, can take approximately 12 months. Construction also varies depending on the project. It's usually approximately one year for most play yards and smaller interior projects like bathrooms and room conversions, approximately 2 to 3 years on exterior modifications, athletic fields, and accessibility, approximately 4 years or more on electrification projects, and approximately 1 to 2 years on larger interior projects, which includes things like auditorium or gym upgrades, supplemental cooling. As a caveat, Reso A funded projects cannot begin construction until the school has signed off on scope of work and the SCA has full funding for the work. Communication methods for these capital improvement projects include our UFT protocol meetings, our monthly job committee meetings, a construction notice, and 2-week look-aheads to principals. Why is my school's project delayed? With construction, there are many times where unforeseen circumstances occur, especially for buildings that are as old as the typical New York City public school building. And we make sure that we work closely with the school and school officials, that they understand why there are any delays, and to make sure that we share timetables and timelines if there are available. Some common challenges that we run into include, one, working in actively used school buildings. So all of our projects happen after normal school instructional hours, and we closely coordinate with schools around after school programs and other school activities, but that can affect our construction schedule. Other things include unforeseen field conditions. This is the most common type of delay that we run into. We start construction and then we identify an issue that was not anticipated. And sometimes then that requires more extensive design work and even additional permitting, which can take time. Supply chain can also be an issue. Since COVID, global supply chain issues for construction materials have been rampant and very persistent. In addition, in recent months, the tariff policies from the federal administration have exacerbated the situation. And lastly, weather can also affect the school timeline, construction timeline. Certain materials that are used in exterior work are heavily weather dependent and so cannot be used in rain, snow, or excessively cold temperatures. So what is a building condition assessment survey? This was what I referred to earlier in terms of what can be used to identify capitally eligible projects. This is an annual visual evaluation of approximately 1,600 New York City public school facilities. And this includes things like schools, athletic fields, mini buildings, lease sites, gyms, and more. Our consistent methodology ensures reliable data, and our inspectors for this receive intensive training and they meet regularly with design professionals. There's also continuous quality control by SCA team and consultants. So the data drives the project prioritization, the capital improvement plan for identifying which schools are prioritized for this project, for these projects. And so we have different inspection teams, which includes mechanical and electrical, as well as architectural. Where can you find these published BCAS reports? If you go to the New York City Public School website and then you look up your school, if you go to reports and click on facilities, there's the building condition assessment survey link here, and that will essentially show all of the different components of the school and the condition of it. So Reso A projects. So Reso A projects are capitally eligible school-specific capital improvements or enhancements that are funded by New York City elected officials, generally our city council members and borough presidents. So what are these projects? Schools and elected officials are strongly encouraged to contact SCA to discuss projects. Schools are strongly encouraged to get cost estimates from SCA before requesting projects and funding from their city council member or borough president. The principal must always approve scope and coordinate construction, so they should always be a part of the Reso A process. So types of projects that are under Reso A projects are typically enhancements to school facilities, such as auditorium or gym upgrades, play yard or athletic field upgrades, certain computer upgrades. They usually don't pay for essential systems like HVAC, plumbing, or electrical upgrades. Project requirements for Reso A funding include: one, they must meet capital eligibility requirements, and it must be fully funded before the scope can begin. If a project is underfunded, then the SCA will work with the elected official for additional funds or work with the school on a reduced scope of work to stay within the budget. In terms of project implementation, all Reso A projects start with the SCA. And smaller projects may be implemented by DSF, Division of School Facilities, depending on the scope and cost. And we work with DIIT for technology. The Reso A budget timeline looks like January through March. Elected officials can contact schools to identify potential projects or vice versa. May through June is the city budget negotiations and approvals. July 1st is when the city fiscal year starts. Sometime in the summer, schools are notified of the awards by the sponsor. And then late fall through early spring, the SCA receives final budget authorization from the Office of Management and Budget, OMB. And 1 month after OMB approval, we begin project scope and design process, and the schools are contacted by their project team. So we do annual capital plan presentations to CECs because we receive the November amendments. So the SCA's annual capital plan presentations provides any changes to the plan through the amendment, and it highlights the specific projects and funding in each district. Presentations are given after the November amendment to the capital plan, and each presentation is customized to individual CEC districts. And these presentations are not for reviewing or discussing individual CEC requests or submissions. The CEC priority project requests, so this happens every year. We work with the CECs. They're asked to complete a form identifying priority projects in their districts, and these forms are due in mid-January. For CECs, they should review the capital eligibility guidelines, to make sure that the project meets the thresholds as determined by the New York City Comptroller and enforced by OMB. They should review the capital plan, identifying what planned projects are already funded in the district. They can identify a program that's classified through one of our programs. And then they should review the projects with the Deputy Director of Facilities for maintenance or repair items. And lastly, they should consult with principals about projects so that there's agreement on priorities. So for submissions, they will prioritize 5 projects. Again, the SCA only does major capital renovations. Anything that's building maintenance or projects that are ineligible, the principals can request repairs from custodians or DSF. And we do our annual capital plan presentations to each CEC. We're actually in the middle of scheduling them now. And we will provide an overview of any changes to the capital plan and highlight specific projects in their districts. So this is what the CEC request form looks like, just for you to get a sense of what we are asking the CECs to fill out. And these are the contact information of our office. Obviously, you can reach out to myself or Danielle. And that's the presentation. So I'm going to stop sharing and
Thank you so much, Julie. So we did receive a question regarding a delayed project. So are there different people to contact? Like if this is a Queens issue, should they reach out to someone specific in Queens?
yes, I don't think I've seen the question, but Danielle and I are the Queens reps, so they can reach out to one of us, and depending on the district, we will divvy it up.
Okay, so there was one from District 28. They have multiple construction projects that remains incomplete for over 2 years. And they've reached out to their assembly member, council member, and they just want an update on what's happening. So they can contact you to track what's happening with the project.
Sure, they can. Actually, District 28 would fall into one of the districts that I represent. So they can contact me directly. I've put my information into the chat already, as well as Julie's. I could provide an update now if you'd like.
If you have one on that, you have one
Sure.
on that particular project?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, wonderful.
So for Q220, there were 2 kind of big projects that were running concurrently. One was a boiler replacement project, and also a or I should say a ventilation project that included replacement of the RTUs, or the rooftop units, as well as the fire alarm system. Both of those projects, which were operating under separate contractors, are in the substantial completion phase. And we have small punch list items from our architects that we're finalizing.
Thank you so much.
Problem. I will say that visually, there is a field office trailer that is still on the exterior perimeter of the site, which does definitely give a look of a more pronounced presence there, and that is being removed next week from the site. So, and good and bad news, we do have a exterior mod project coming to the school. So good news because the building needs it, bad news because community probably don't want to see us anymore.
That is great news.
Yeah.
So there's a question in the chat about the TCUs at District 8, 123. When will it be removed?
Okay. Sure.
Definitely.
So for District 8, that's not in either Julie and I's district, but we are happy to circle back with that information of TCU removal plan. At this point, if there are any TCUs that are still in existence in the 5 boroughs, it's because of seat need, and you need to solve the seat need first before we can remove the TCUs. But we will look into that. District 8 PS 123. Is that what you said? I'm sorry, Randy.
District 8, 123, and another one about strobe lights in District 8, 333. If you have the Bronx person, if you can put their email in the chat.
Sure.
That'd be great. Thank you.
We'll do that.
Vandana, District 4.
Yes, thank you so much. I do have a question. Hi, I'm
Hi.
Vandana Vanua, District 4 President, Council's President, and a CEC member. Can you clarify how the SCA prioritize capital projects between overcrowded districts and schools with urgent infrastructure needs, and how often those priorities are revisited?
Sure. If there's a school that has an overcrowding need, then we work with our partners at Department of Education, ODP, to look at finding solutions. First, it would be something that ODP or space planning would look at internally to see if there was ways to create new seats within the building. And then next, we would start to have levels of rather conversations at superintendent level to discuss possibilities regarding a potential new addition if space was permitting and if it would be feasible. If that does not allow, if the site does not allow for something like that, then we work at a district level to provide a new building that would increase seats within the district. And then it would be for Department of Education to decide about rezoning and how to do alleviating the overutilization of buildings in the nearby area.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem.
Rima?
I put my questions in the chat because I actually had a few. The one question I do want to say out loud is the project at OAX333, and I guess this is a citywide question, is do the HES sites around the city have the strobe lights? Because we have programs for deaf students and we have deaf teachers, and we don't have strobe lights in these programs. And like for District 8, I reported it like 2.5 years ago, and we're still waiting. And they said SCA is still in the design phase, but we're actively in like a safety crisis because if something happens, that there's no protocol for a particular teacher to run and go tell these people in this particular part of the building that there's an incident happening. So, and again, I don't want to leave it to one person that could be absent. So when is this project going to be completed, and do the other sites have strobe lights? Because it's not safe.
Let me start. I'm sorry, because being not familiar with the Bronx, I apologize for that. But I wanted to confirm with you, is this the building code that we're talking about, X333?
So X333 has an HES program for students that have hearing disabilities, and they do not have strobe lights. They need strobe lights because they can't hear the fire alarm. And so what we were told, because again, I reported this to my elected 2.5 years ago, and we were told, and I just asked DSF for an update last week, and they said that SCA still has this in design phase. My question is, do the HES programs around the city not have strobe lights? Because why is it in design for so long? What is it that we're designing that we haven't done that already?
So for me, I'm not familiar with HES program, which is why I'm trying to look up the building for you while we're on the meeting so I could give you an answer. When we design, I can speak to how we design our new schools, which are, if they're not specific with an HES program, that's not part of the, I should say that we have hearing impaired structure within our building, in the new buildings. So I'm trying to see what kind of a building this is. If this was a building that did not have this capability, and then this program was placed, is that what you're referring to? Or do we have the address of the school that you're referring to so that I can look it up for you?
I'll put the address in the chat. I don't want to like divert too much time from the agenda, but if we could get a response, I'm happy to keep having the conversation in the chat. I'll get the address now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to look it up, and X333 doesn't come up as a building code, so that's why I was asking.
Okay, Giselle? We're over time, so can we just keep it like really brief? Sorry.
Sorry. Yes, for going back to 20Q, besides those projects, there's also been a delay in the bathroom project and also water fountains. For the water fountains, we were just waiting for the lead testing. It's been over a year for the lead testing to just start being able to use those water fountains. And then we haven't been able to communicate with anyone that could help us because we changed council members. And so that was funded by Lynn Schulman, and we changed to Gennaro. So I don't know if there was a miscommunication there or something in the project that was lost.
Sure. Well,
So if anything,
I can answer that question for you. School Construction Authority does not manage bathrooms or water fountains. So I would need to refer you to DSF. I know that there was fiscal year 24, there were, I think, 6 or 4 water fountains that were funded by the council person, and that was managed by DSF. I believe it was reported in our system that had been completed, but again, I would encourage you to follow up with DSF as they were spearheading both of those projects for the building.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, last question, Priscilla.
Hi, thank you, Randy. This is a question that a lot of our members can benefit from. This is pertaining to schools that have campuses. If there's work being done on one school that's on a campus, will it delay the work of another school that's similarly on that campus? I have a school in District 29 that sits on 26 grounds that has a courtyard that has been sinking for 4 years, and it's really grave. And we've been given dates, but nothing has really happened, and it's to the point where students have gotten hurt. So that's one issue. Another is if there are schools that have an 993 or 811 in the same building where the construction has not been accommodated in the 811, should the school apply together or should the 811 apply separately? I have another school in my district that has absolutely no upgrades, but the school, not General Pop School, has gotten the upgrades and they both applied.
Okay, so I think there was a lot of information to try
Yes.
to at one
To
time.
digest.
So I want to go back to your District 29 school. You said it regarding a courtyard.
Yes. PSIS 208 has a sinking courtyard. That has been an issue for about 3 years since I've been involved, and maybe a year before I came on board.
Okay, and the question for that is?
When will the work begin? The school has been giving dates and nothing has happened.
Okay, so would you considering that as a playground redevelopment there?
That's not a playground. It's the entryway to the school. It's a courtyard. They do have a play yard, but that's the actual entry courtyard where the kids do have recess, yes.
Okay, well, I see that there are a couple of different big projects that are in design for that building. One is a playground, other is exterior masonry work or exterior mod work that comes complete with roof, parapet, flood elimination. So that could be part of it. I don't have the scope at my fingertips. So Priscilla, what I'd like to do is be able to write down that question and do a comprehensive follow-up for you.
Great. Okay. I'm also a CEC member, so a lot of dualities. Thank you for that. Yeah, we'll talk offline, but thank you. I just wanted that for the record.
But just so that we're clear, that is not in District 29, that is in District 26.
That's a D29 school that sits on D26 grounds. It's one of the unique schools in D29.
Okay, so PSIS 208 is technically on Commonwealth Boulevard, which is geographic District 26, correct?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure I'm looking up the right school for you.
Yes, that's the right one.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Danielle and Julie. That was very informative for our parent leaders and for the public to hear. So thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. And we're going to move on to Road to Better Busing. Josephine, can you just share that slide real quick? It was just kind of cute, so just want to make sure we share it. And we have Nyah Berg to present.
Hi, folks. Good morning. I'll let you share the slide, and then I also have my own slides, so I don't want to.
Just thought that was really cute for you. Yeah. So I wanted to share that.
Okay. I appreciate it.
All right, Josephine, you can stop sharing. So, and Nyah, you have co-host capabilities.
Amazing. All right, let me present. All right. Hi, folks. Good morning. Happy to be here, and thanks for having me. My name is Nyah Berg, pronouns she, her. I'm the executive director at New York Appleseed. We are a advocacy nonprofit organization that advocates for inclusive, integrated, and equitable schools and communities in New York City and state, though we always say that New York City gives us plenty to work on. And we also facilitate the Road to Better Busing Coalition. And so today I'm going to give you just a background of the coalition, as well as the work that we've done within the past year, and sort of a little bit of an update, as I'm sure you've seen in the news, or in your kid's backpack or within the school, all the different information that's coming about school busing in the past since the school year began. So as I said, we lead the Road to Better Busing Coalition. We formed this in January of 2025. We wanted to bring together educational justice, disability rights, transit equity advocates, and to provide recommendations and a strategy really to improve yellow bus service for New York City students. Members of this coalition include Advocates for Children of New York, the Center for Independence of the Disabled New York, Citizens Committee for Children of New York, ourselves, Coalition for Asian American Children and Families, Parents to Improve School Transportation, Timon Family Services, and then several longstanding individual parent activists and folks from the D75 parent community, including Rima, who's here, and thank you for inviting me to join us today. We came together because there were many problems. In fact, when we came together first and tried to figure out what we were going to solve for, what the problem really was, and folks that had been speaking and parents that had been speaking into a void for years and years and years, it really became that we had 99 problems and busing was all of them. It was school buses that were not showing up or late, no paraprofessionals assigned, folks that break down in communication, parents who were talking to OPT that then said to talk to the bus company that then said we're directed to then talk to OPT to have someone then maybe hang up on them. No after school transportation or Saturday service, lack of AC on the summer busing. The list just went on and on and on, as many of you I'm sure know. And then it also really came down to this discovery that a majority of our school bus contracts as well have not been updated since 1979. So roughly over 70% of our school bus contracts have not been updated and are roughly 46 years old. With identifying these problems, we came up with a platform. We set goals at that time. Goal number one, because this was in January and that legislative session was just starting, was to urge state leaders to prioritize student transportation reform and uphold that commitment by passing Assembly Bill 8440, Senate Bill 1018 into law. And this legislation would essentially allow for employee protection provisions in a new rebidding process for school bus contracts. Right now, part of the reason why the bus contracts are so old is because there is a provision in there for protecting job security benefits for drivers. And we know if that is not within the contracts, and right now if they try to rebid, it is not allowed to put them in the contracts unless we pass this legislation, there would be a bus strike. And I think we saw in past recent weeks the threat to even a halt of service, how harmful that can be for students and families. And so a way to circumvent that is a passage of this legislation. We've called on local leaders to also support this. And then also we have a demand that the New York City Department of Education and the Panel for Education Policy and City Hall leadership negotiate the shortest possible extension of outdated school bus contracts so that the DOE can rebid on bus contracts and work to actually modernize and improve the yellow bus service system. I want to be clear that this call for being able to rebid and bring the bus contracts into the 21st century is not a silver bullet. This is not a sort of be all end all. There's also a lot of reform that needs to happen and should happen within the Office of People Transportation. And that's also why, in addition to wanting new school bus contracts and negotiating the shortest extension possible so that we can have time for the passage of legislation and to have students and families involved in the rebid process, there's also the demand for the New York City Department of Education and the PEP and City Hall to do all that they can do to improve bus service now, to work to ensure that when we also have new bus contracts, all of these things are working in tandem, and we are attacking this problem that's very multifaceted, with all the solutions that are needed to actually improve change. And so just a little bit of an overview of what we've done so far as a coalition. Again, we launched that platform in the spring. It was signed on by over roughly 30 organizations, over 50 individuals. We co-hosted multiple town halls on transportation to inform folks on this school bus contract dilemma, because there's such a complex idea to sort of think about how labor and EPPs might be connected to why there's contracts that are 46 years old that are connected to why a bus doesn't have AC, or there's no after school, or there's no summer busing. And so we worked on educating folks and also listening. There are a lot of really deep wounds of folks that have not been able to have their child attend school because of school busing issues. And so we hosted those town halls. We had a rally on City Hall steps in the fall, all for folks, again, to really bring this momentum around demanding better busing. And also over 4,000 letters have been sent to Governor Hochul and key state legislators on approving that key legislation for being able to rebid. All of this has been sort of a road to progress. And so to give folks, again, more context and background of like where we've been and where we are now. So in June, those 46-year-old school bus contracts expired and they are up for renewal for another extension. And so New York City and bus companies began to sign emergency contracts at that time. So you covered summer busing and part of the fall. That is sort of what happened throughout the summer, right? There were these negotiations that those were happening and we were building momentum. September is really when everything sort of started to come to a head. Those negotiations remained ongoing, but parents, community advocates, or coalition members were galvanizing support to urge the PEP to not approve long-term 5-year contract extensions. And the panel showed unanimous support of opposing these contracts. The PEP also formed an advisory committee. So for folks who don't know, right now there's a Pupil Transportation Advisory Commission called the PTAC that's made of advocate org representatives, parents, and others, including myself, to create some formal recommendations to improve transportation. And these aren't just contract recommendations. This is also looking at the whole systems, the Office of Pupil Transportation. We recently actually had a hearing, and that actually brought us to October. And so October, for folks, I'm sure we're well aware within the parent community, one Monday morning, the bus companies decided to publish in the New York Post that they threatened to halt service and to lay off all of their workers. And this was because they were not guaranteed a long-term 5-year contract extension, because parents, community members, and have been talking to the PEP, and folks had been honestly fed up with the lack of service, the lack of respect, the problems that have been going on for decades. At the same time that this was happening, the PTAC also hosted a public hearing reaffirming the call for not a long-term extension, and hearing from dozens of parents that are struggling with busing due to after-school double, tripled up routes. Even just getting a bus for their child. We heard from parents that still did not have a bus for their child nearly 3 months into the school year. And then at the October Panel for Education Policy meeting, it was a very vociferous, it was a very, very contentious meeting. But at the end of the day, I think what we heard is that, drivers need to drive, parents rely on drivers to get to work, and parents need better busing as well. And it was unfair of bus companies to really use that wedge to try to pit groups against each other, when really folks are asking for just improvements and good governance, right? Contracts that are not 46 years old. And so in October, that PEP voted unanimously on a resolution opposing a 5-year deal, effectively forcing bus companies to go back to the negotiating table. And so that sort of brings you up to speed on where we are now, and maybe some background on what you were seeing in the news. Advocates, parents, and the community have successfully stopped a 5-year deal, I would say. The PEP will vote on a 3-year contract extension at their meeting on November 19th. And this is also still a time for advocacy. So 3 years, we at the very beginning had said no more than 1 year. Contracts are retroactive. So, to be clear, 1 year would be 6 months. But we had always been calling for the shortest extension possible. And so we're continuing to push for changes. 3 years is still longer than we hoped for. And it doesn't include key recommendations that are important to parents and families, including a coalition call for 100% accountability for GPS tracking, so that we are asking for bus companies to be held accountable for having the GPS put on 100% of the time. Right now, the updated contract amendment, I believe, is 90%, and we find that unacceptable. There's also the road ahead. So not only are we also pushing for changes and still not happy or thrilled with 3 years, but there's also January 2026 at the road ahead. There's a legislative session coming up, and those bills are still in play. And so once that legislation session begins again, the role passes to state leaders to provide a pathway for rebidding on new contracts, a pathway that would not lead to a threat of halt of service that can really harm students and families' ability to be able to get their student to school. That's my little presentation. I know I can talk fast, so I'm happy to take questions. I'm also always happy to take questions offline. We have our platform that we still have folks sign on to, and then we also have a listserv that we send out updates on advocacy opportunities, toolkits, and updates on where our campaign on improving student transportation is. And that is everything. I'll also drop my email in the chat when I click out for people that might want to contact me.
Thank you so much, Nyah. And I don't know if you're aware, but we do have a resolution later on the agenda to call on the New York City Public Schools and the mayor's office to establish clear standards of accountability, transparency, and safety across New York City student transportation, serving more than 150 student riders. So hopefully we'll be able to pass that resolution at the end of this, towards the end of this meeting.
Fantastic. We've been really, really thankful. And I think that all of this momentum, I can't understate how unprecedented it is to even have a pose of a 5-year to get to 3-year. And all of that is due to momentum of parents and community members, everyone becoming a unified front and really wanting better for busing for their children across New York City. So great.
So you're going to put your information in the chat. We are over, but does anyone have any pressing questions that they'd like to ask Nyah? You can use the raise hand feature in the bottom of your screen. If not, you could also ask them in the chat. Ashley?
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to know, are you available to do like an in-person presentation at CEC meetings?
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely make myself available. And I just dropped my email in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay. So if you have any other questions, you can put them in the chat. We are now, the other slide, Josephine. We are now very excited to introduce you all to the new chief of FACE, Dr. Annmary Lopez. Dr. Annmary, we had met her at the Partnership for Student Success, and she is very receptive and open to parents and parent leaders. So we want to give her a huge welcome to CPAC. And Annmary, if you'd like to introduce yourself, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Randy. So yes, I am the new chief of FACE, Dr. Annmary Lopez. I'm just excited to be in community. I deeply, deeply believe in parents and in families and in communities, and it being the center of education. So with that, I'm going to go into the some reminders of FACE. Um, so this is our last meeting before the Thanksgiving break. So I want to start by thanking each and every one of you for your continued hard work and your commitment and the way you show up for our families and communities every single day. Um, we have to do this work collectively and in community. So I hope you all find next week, time next week to be rested, recharged, and surrounded by people who bring you joy. So before we head to the holiday break, I want to lift a few reminders. Recently, there was a data privacy information session. Thank you to everyone who participated in the data privacy session with FLC, FSC teams on November 10th. And the same session will be offered to parent leaders on November 17th at 6 p.m. Please help spread the word. This information is essential to ensuring our families understand how to safeguard student and family data. There are upcoming Chancellor's town halls. We have 2 coming up. CEC 15 is on Monday, December 1st, and CEC 11 town hall is on Tuesday, December 9th. These town halls are incredible opportunities for families, community members, and parent leaders to engage directly with their CEC leadership and the Chancellor, asking questions, sharing concerns, and providing authentic feedback. Please continue to uplift these events within your
Listen, I'm gonna
community.
tell you, every fucking time I get on a
Oh, all right.
My apologies.
Not a problem. All right. So each community education council, CEC, hosts on one town hall. We recently completed town halls with District 31, Staten Island, and District 6, Manhattan. Thank you to every family, student, parent, leader, and staff member who showed up. Your presence reflects the power of partnership. If you couldn't join those, please attend one of the upcoming town halls. And on October 31st, the revised Chancellor's Regulation D210 was released for public review and comment. You can access the public notice and proposed amendments on the PEP SharePoint site. With all that information, the PEP meeting will be Wednesday, December 17th at 6 p.m. It's going to be at Evander Child's Educational Campus, 800 East Gun Hill Road, Bronx. On Wednesday, November 12th, we hosted New York City Parks and the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs for our CARES Family Connector series. These sessions deepen understanding of citywide programs and services, strengthen connectors' ability to support family well-being, and ensure our immigrant families have access to critical information and rights-based resources. All sessions, including this one, are available at Parent University. We have upcoming Family Connector sessions every Wednesday, November 19th, the 3rd of December, December 10th, and December 17th. There are ways to sign up. And family connectors are invaluable to our communities. They help bridge families to critical NYC resources and services every single day. And again, as we head into the holidays, I want to share my gratitude. The work you do, the heart, the commitment, the care matters deeply. You make an impact that families feel and remember. Wishing you all a safe, restful, and joy-filled Thanksgiving. Enjoy your time with your loved ones.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lopez. So now that everyone on CPAC has had a chance to meet you, would you mind dropping your email in the chat? So if they'd like to send you an email, they can.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. So as being that we have a few minutes before our Chancellor joins, because I don't see her here yet, I just wanted to share that when we ask, when we send the questionnaire out, We're asking you to send us your questions so that our face liaison, Anthony Aguilar, he submits them to the chancellor and her team, and they're able to respond. So they would have answers to your direct questions. They wouldn't have to go back and get back to us. So that's why we started doing that a few years ago. It's just easier for them to come prepared to answer. It's not that we want them scripted, because they're not. I have to say that this chancellor has been the most engaging with us and involving us and empowering us, and so is her team. So I just would like it to continue, and we just want to have positive and productive meetings. So please make sure that you fill out those questionnaires, because we do submit your questions directly, and then they come on ready to respond. So I just wanted that to be clear. Does anyone want to share out what they're doing in their districts? You can use the raise hand feature on your screen and share out anything great happening. Okay, I am happy to report that we have only five president's councils, which is still, something, but we only have five that do not have president's councils fully functioning. We're waiting. They have dates to have their election meetings. So I just want to make sure that anyone who's watching on the YouTube live stream, that you're able to get the link to the Zoom to be able to fully participate here. So we hope that you have successful elections, but thank you to everyone else who's held their elections and who are here today. We appreciate you all being here and everything that you're doing for your families. Veronica, you have a question or you have something to share?
Yes, I do. May I?
Of course.
Of course. Thank you. Our District 17 are doing a turkey giveaway on the 20th, and on the 17th, I am doing a turkey giveaway to the parents in the community. Thank you.
That is fantastic. And especially now where there's so much food insecurity, that's a great thing that your district is doing. Vandana?
Hi, my name is Vandana Budia. I just want to say something. We have middle school and elementary school fair that was ahead. We are coming with a new plan. Our superintendent, Dr. Christie, and the president council's president, that's me, will visit the PA meetings in every school in our district, and I will find out from the parents. We want to connect with the parents. Thank you.
Thank you. Ashley?
Hi, so I just wanted to share that in District 75, at P94, and we have been opening food pantries at all of our school sites to provide food for our families. We also have turkey giveaways going on as well for our families. And then during our CEC1 meeting last night, the superintendent District 1 shared with us that we also have food pantries available in our 19 schools in District 1 as well. I will be assisting the parent coordinators to package the meals. And we also have a huge turkey giveaway that's actually hosted by Harvey Epstein and his team over here. So it's definitely something accessible for all of our families here in the district. But I just wanted to share that given the situation going on. And I've also been advocating for better busing. So let's get all the people we can to our next PEP meeting. But that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Tanya?
Greetings, everyone. Just wanted to share that we're having our District 23 high school fair tomorrow, and we'll have our middle school fair on the 18th. Woohoo!
That is great. Giselle?
Hi, I want to share that we have CEC 28 has a Thanksgiving grocery giveaway coming up as well. On my end, I've been sharing resources of local food pantries in the area to families that might be in need, and starting that conversation just in case anyone knows of other resources available. In terms of President's Council, we've been having CBOs come into our meetings and kind of provide free services that are available for our schools, such as group counseling or beautification projects. If anyone's interested, you can email me, let me know. I can send you their contact information. We're looking to start a financial workshop in our meetings. We have some of our president's PAs that are either 501c3s and some that are not. And so there's been some confusion on taxes, on whether a non-50c3, just a regular PA council needs to file taxes or not. So we are going to try to book that IRS workshop to see if we can have more clarification on that.
That is great. That's very empowering for parent leaders because they're always asking, for help with the 501c3s. So that's great that you're doing that in your district. Veronica. Veronica, was your hand up from before?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else? I see the Chancellor's team coming in, so she should be here shortly. Next slide. Well, no, the PSNU. One up.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything that they'd like to share about what's happening in the district? No. Okay. So I just want to share that during the season of giving and gratitude, that we would like to take a moment. I know our chancellor's not here, but I'm sure she'll hear, to thank our amazing parent leaders, to thank Chancellor Melissa Aviles Ramos and her extraordinary team, and everyone who supports our children's learning and well-being across New York City public schools. It is your dedication and heart that shine through in all that you do. And without you, there would be no community, no connection, and no partnership behind our children's success. So thank you for all that you give and for the difference that you make every single day. Because if I didn't say that now, I'd probably forget to say it at the end of the meeting. Okay. I guess for right now, Dr. Melendez, of course you could. The floor is yours.
Hi, thank you, Chair. I just want to say thank you for all that you do. We can't do this work without all of you and your commitment and support and feedback. You have all in different ways showed up and showed out for all of us and our random ideas and very concrete policy plans and have made them insurmountably better. And for that, we thank you and appreciate you in the spirit of Thanksgiving and the holidays to come. So thank you. And we hope you recharge so that you can continue to provide us with all of the feedback and supports that you always do so that we can continue to make the improvements to make sure that students succeed. So thank you.
Thank you for that, Dr. Melendez. So I guess while we wait, we can move forward to the resolution. And then if the chancellor comes in, we'll just pause. So this resolution is to urge New York City Public Schools, the mayor's office, and New York City Council. Oh, we're going to pause. Our chancellor is here. Knew that would happen. Okay, let's just give her a second. Chancellor. I saw that you came in.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. You can stop sharing, Josephine. So Chancellor, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, as always, for allowing me in the space to meet with you and to hear directly from you. Obviously, we are approaching the holidays, and we know that children are excited. I just finished visiting 2 schools in the Bronx, and just making rounds around the city. And hearing directly from the children, seeing evidence of reads and solves, and just all the incredible work that's happening across our schools. Also met with parent leaders this morning. Our children, actually, I sat on a roundtable with children, and they asked me, how do I envision parent communication for our schools? And I thought that was such a big question for a 5th grader, but even our students are talking about the importance of empowering our parents. And so, despite all of our challenges and the long list of things we have to do for this great big system, it gives me pride and joy to hear that even our students themselves are talking about the need to empower and engage our parents. So thank you, as always, for allowing me in the space. I'm happy to be here, and I look forward to hearing from all of you. Of course, my team is here to help answer any of your questions.
Thank you so much, Chancellor. Before I start with the questions, I just want to make sure that you knew that CPAC has a position letter calling on the mayor-elect, Mr. Mamdani, to retain you as Chancellor to ensure continuity and progress for New York City Public Schools and families, because you have been an amazing Chancellor, and we definitely want to make sure that you can continue in the work that you're doing and the positive effect that it's having on all our children and families. And then we also have another resolution that we hope to pass on busing, because that is definitely one of the hottest topics of the year.
Absolutely. And I first of all, I can't. There are no words to describe how grateful I am for all of you, for the grace that you give me whenever I don't live up to your expectations, your honesty for how I and the agency can do better, and for always welcoming me, not only as the Chancellor, but as a fellow parent. And so you all, I've said it before, you all have made me a better parent. And regardless of what happens, I am excited for New York City. I am excited about Mayor-elect Mamdani's agenda and his fierce commitment to showing real progress in this city and getting us on a different track. And it's been an honor to be with you. And regardless of what happens, I'm always going to be a New York City parent just like you. And I look forward to seeing our school system improve regardless of who is champion. So thank you so much. And thank you for all the work that you've done on the busing side. Always have to shout out Rima. Because to be honest with you, whenever I talk to Rima, it is a learning experience for me on the busing front. And there's so many layers to this complex issue. And really what we have proven is that PEP and parent leadership are not rubber stamps. It is real. That leadership is real. That body is very much real and doesn't just stamp things and move them along. And if anybody thought that, they learned this fall that that's not true. So I'm just so proud to lead alongside all of you.
Thank you for that. Okay, so the questions we received in advance. What is the plan, both district and citywide, for replacing any federal funds the federal government tries to take away or tie up beyond extended litigation? And is there any type of rainy day fund? And when will we likely start to feel these effects in your estimation?
One of the things that we can say about the federal government is they were very transparent about their plans. And so as a result of that, we did a lot of careful planning very early on. It is one of the reasons why we have held schools harmless twice. it is, it is something where we do have to right size budgets, and we do have to make sure that under enrolled schools that we have a plan in place for them, because holding schools harmless is not a sustainable plan. But when there are threats of federal funding cuts, we want to get money into schools and districts as much as possible. We also have gone to court with the federal, with the US DOE, in particular around our magnet school, the magnet school funding, because of our unwavering support for transgender students. And so I think the way in which we've adjusted our fair student funding formula, the additional dollars that we've gotten from the state, the way we have held schools harmless, we've done everything that we possibly can to make sure that schools and districts do not feel the impact of federal cuts. That being said, this is an ongoing conversation. Every time something happens, our legal team, our policy team, our CFO's office pours all over, the executive orders or whatever funding cuts they're pulling from us to see what the implications are. We obviously have a $40 billion budget, and federal funding is a small percentage of it, but we were very proactive. And so these are turbulent times. I am not trying to undermine it. I'm not trying to downplay it. But all we can do is be proactive and now be reactive as things happen. But we have been very clear that schools cannot feel the impact. And I think we've done a great job with that.
All right. Okay, thank you for that. What is the current average caseload for special education teachers and related service providers in the district? And how is the district ensuring that these numbers allow for genuine progress monitoring?
That's a great question. And I know that we have folks from Dial who could get into the weeds on this. But just to say that Deputy Chancellor Fody and her team have done tremendous work in making sure that there is more staff, in making sure that they're working directly with superintendents and their teams to support in all ways possible. So Superintendent Deputy Chancellor Fody, if you or your team could speak about more specifics.
Of course, Chancellor. Good morning, everybody. So just to name, I'm happy to go into the specifics, but caseloads for special ed teachers and are shaped by state and union rules, and that's true for our related service providers as well. And those rules look differently in elementary, middle, high school, and certainly based on how the school organizes its day. To quickly go into specifics, and I'm happy to put this in writing for you, a special ed teacher may work with up to 12 students, while older students often have larger caseloads because the classes are departmentalized. And so in ICT classes, that looks different, but in small classes, those special classes are up to 12 students. In District 75, we have many 6 to 1-to-1 classes, we have many 8 to 1-to-1 classes, and we have many 12 to 1-to-1 classes in D75 and in our district schools. For sets, this is the state sets clear limits on that. And we have 30 students in elementary and up to 38 in middle and high school with small group instruction, unless the IEP calls for something differently. Our related service providers that include speech, OT, and PT usually see up to 8 30-minute sessions a day and also have built-in time to track and monitor student progress. I mean, I love that with this caseload conversation, you have asked about progress monitoring because it is so key and so important to regardless of caseload, we have to know where students are. And if we as teachers and providers are doing something that is not working for a child, then we have to pivot and make different instructional choices or therapeutic choices. And so those are active and ongoing conversations with families. And if those are not active and ongoing conversations with families, then we really need to engage the school administration. And as always, that the district and central are ready to support there. But we want our parents to be active partners in their child's progress, and that means being informed. So that's a key part of our work, and it is something that we're committed to making sure continues to happen.
Thank you for that, TC Fody.
Of course.
The next question is, we'd like guidance on what steps Title I schools can take if it loses funding or support for its after-school program. Are there alternative grants or DOE resources available that we could apply for to maintain programming for our students?
So one of the things that we did when the state pulled funding for after-school programs last year is we funded those, and we did that again this year. We also know that the mayor's office has implemented the universal after school, and so a number of schools are participating in that as well. So I think, you know, what's important for us is, again, going back to what I said earlier, is we have put money into schools' budgets. I know a lot of schools are self-funding through their budgets, which is why holding schools harmless was so important. We also made sure that we picked up the bill when the state didn't fund those programs anymore, and so those are things that we've continued to do. I just saw in the chat someone said a school lost a grant for funding. I don't know if Flavia or Christina Melendez, if you're able to take this, but wherever there's a specific case, we are happy to work with the principal and superintendent to see how we can support. But these budget decisions that we made and putting money into schools as much as possible and expanding after school and picking up the bill when the state wasn't or didn't do it and wasn't able to, those are ways that we show our commitment for after school. Again, I'm a mom. I couldn't run around the city and do the job that I do without my daughter having after school in her building. We all benefit from it, and we want to make sure that high quality after school programs are happening. So thank you for putting this in the chat. I see. Yep, I'm taking a look at it now.
Yeah, we'll definitely follow up with your school specifically, because Flavia's team also does a wonderful job of really supporting the principal in looking through the budget and finding opportunities where after school could be self-funded or ways to be creative about how we use funds or programs. And so Flavia does a wonderful job at doing that, as well as all of the things that the chancellor shared around what are we doing more holistically to really support the permanence of after school in our communities, because we can't do it without the after school program. So we'll follow up with these schools specifically, and thank you, and keep putting them in the chat.
Thank you so much. Next question. How can we better support students from K-5 with defiant or violent behavior episodes when parents aren't cooperative?
Sorry, can you say that question again?
How can we better support students from K-5 with defiant or violent behavior episodes when parents aren't cooperative?
That's a really great question. You know, there's so many ways that we support students with these types of behaviors. And one of the ways is really getting to the root cause of it. Is it a manifestation of a disability? Is it that something is going on where their social emotional needs are not being met at the school or in the home? So it really is a case by case basis. And we have DC Fody. I'm sure we have Mark Rampersant on the call. So I invite them to talk about the different ways that we assess the root cause of the issue and then how we activate on a plan.
Yes, I'll start. I can say building relationships. So building relationships with family and staff, widen the communication, the community net around the young person. The chancellor talked about root causes. What is the reason why a young person is misbehaving? There may be some things that are missing from the home, right, that the school can supplement. Creating trauma-informed, sensitive environments that include calming corners for kids, right? Schools have been very, very creative. Sensory spaces, creating routines for young people who are having those kinds of regular challenges that are not directly connected to anything until such time as a young person can be evaluated. Developing an individual behavioral plan that emphasizes on understanding rather than punitive. For young people. Some of the things that we can do, making sure that every one of our young people have a champion in the school that they're connected with. So when they are starting to sort of rile up a little bit, there's that one person who they can connect with that can reach them in ways that that others don't, right? And then the other piece is supporting our parents, right? Creating these opportunities where parents can learn about different challenges that young people face that they might not necessarily know how to or be equipped to deal with, right? Parents need supports too. and they're usually frustrated at some of these behaviors and they don't know how to address them themselves. So if our schools can offer these professional learnings for parents to educate them on what supports exist that can extend to the home is another way by which we can support, parents who we believe as not being responsive, but they just really don't have the tools to support the young person in the way that we believe that they should. So hopefully that's helpful.
Thank you, Mark. Next question, we have some AI questions.
Sorry, can I just add one more thing to that? I think this is also a piece where the parent empowerment space is so important, because sometimes a parent is uncooperative if they feel like they're being judged, if they feel like their child is being judged. The relationship building piece that Mark mentioned is so important. And I just want to underscore, this is where parent empowerment comes into play, because if our PTAs and our parent leaders on the CEC, and if they are welcome into the building and they have leadership roles where they can work together with parents and help them through this challenge as well, then they are more amenable to receiving supports. That place of judgment does not help anyone. And I have witnessed it with my own eyes in the last 18 years in the system, where parents feel like they have to defend themselves and their child, and it's not from what they're getting from the school doesn't feel supportive, it feels punitive. And so I just want to say that's why the parent empowerment piece isn't only about creating advocates, but it's also about making sure that parents feel protected whenever we have to intervene to support them and their child.
And Chancellor and Randy, may I just add a shout out to Beyond Access series, and we can drop this link in the chat. But Chancellor, exactly what you're saying. We have an upcoming Beyond Access series session coming up on challenging behaviors, managing challenging behaviors in the home. And what we're going to be pointing out to families is, right, what we said earlier, behavior is a form of communication, and that it is on us to help give strategies to families and within the school day to support those challenging behaviors, and whether that look like speech and communication challenge supports or occupational therapy supports or counseling supports, getting to that root cause of behavior is something that we're going to be doing a session on as a way of really opening up that dialogue with families, that this is on us to help in that regard too, both at school and at home. So we can drop the link to that. Thanks, Suzanne. We welcome all of you.
Thank you. So some AI questions. How does New York City Public Schools plan to address potential inequities in access to AI technology across schools?
I love that question. So I just visited PS 19 in Woodlawn section of the Bronx, and there's a technology center, and the students were working on these personalized AI. It was a personalized AI experience where they were predicting weather patterns and talking about preventive measures. It was really, really engaging. It was very rigorous, and the kids were just all into it. I understand the fear of data privacy. I truly do. Again, I can't say it enough. My daughter is a student in the system, and I certainly don't want any data breaches for her or any of our children in the system. But what we can't have is some kids benefiting from these technologies and other kids being left behind. So safety and mitigating bias need to be at the center. And that's why we created that 4-part framework. That's why we have an AI advisory council. This is why we're actually talking to ed tech companies, and we're talking to professors at universities, so that way we can push for an agenda that does mitigate bias, because we do know that a lot of these generative AI tools, that they are very Eurocentric, and we want to make sure that they are reflective of the diversity of New York City. And we also know that data privacy is very, very important. But the way in which we approach the work has to be where we're vetting all of the tools, where we know what's going on in our schools, where we know how, there's a way to train teachers on how to use AI so it's not replacing that teacher support. We just took phones away from kids. We can't now put them on devices where a teacher is just kind of walking around the room to make sure that they're on task. That's not what we want. We want to make sure that technology is used to enhance the instructional experience that teachers provide in the classroom. So this is why we are monitoring and executing from a central perspective on this. We don't want teachers and schools doing this on their own. But in order to do that, we need to be able to push an AI agenda forward. And so we need you. We need parents to really deeply understand what we're trying to accomplish with AI. I think that at some point we are definitely in need of a briefing with all of you to talk to you about the types of tools that we do support, the way in which we vet, and our vision for AI. Communicating it is not enough, because we need to make sure that whatever fears that you all have as parents, that we're working to address those, so that way you can support us in giving your child that kind of experience. So that way it's not just based on zip code. We want to make sure that kids, whether they're in the South Bronx or Central Brooklyn or in Flushing, Queens, they are getting an experience that is preparing them for an AI-powered world.
That is great. And thank you, because we definitely want to be included. We want to share our concerns and suggestions. So we appreciate that so much. Next is, how will AI be used to support diverse learners, including multilingual and special education students?
Yeah, again, it's about selecting the right tools that are safe, that are reflective of our diversity, and that we can leverage to support with translation and acquiring a new language, and supporting students with disabilities. As a matter of fact, Deputy Chancellor Foti has some great examples of what that looks like. We went to visit a school where Amira is being used to help students build their reading fluency, develop their reading fluency. So I also invite the team to talk a little bit about the very specific examples of where AI does work in our school system. And Deputy Chancellor Foti, I don't mean to put you on
Not
the
at all.
spot, but I think it would be great, especially since the question specifically asks about special education.
Yeah, of course. Well, this is we're so excited to talk about this, but one of the tools that Suzanne Sanchez, who's on, Chief Sanchez, has been championing is the Read and Write tool, which is available for free to every New York City public school student. And now, while it's not specifically AI, it gives us incredible insight into where we need to go in terms of instructional technology to support students with disabilities and multilingual learners. What's amazing about this is you download it, it becomes automatically you can use for any content to provide speech to text, to provide a dictionary feature, to provide translation for other languages. Suzanne, I know this is your passion project, but so what else would you say about this? And again, I don't want to sell this as an AI specific tool, but to the Chancellor's point about what Amira does and what other tools, they're building on access. And so this tool gives access, and then AI would take it to another level. But Suzanne, Chief Sanchez, can you tell us a little bit about why you love this so much?
Absolutely, and thank you for that. Thank you to whoever submitted the question. And I also want to share that thanks to Chancellor Aviles Ramos, that Dial has multiple seats at the table in the AI working groups and committees that are being run out of New York City public schools. And this is important because, to use Deputy Chancellor Foti's language, we will not be retrofitting AI on the back end to support students with disabilities and multilingual learners. That will be incorporated in the building process from jump alongside all other students. And that is key, and that can't be overstated. The tool that Deputy Chancellor Foti is referring to as Read and Write, and I will drop a link to the chat here for all of you, This is a tool and a license that is available for every single student, teacher, and parent in New York City public schools. Read and Write provides real-time access to grade level content to students who may not be accessing that grade level content in that exact moment because they are working, utilizing evidence-based strategies to gain literacy skills, and the tool gives them real-time access in many different ways. And we are really proud that Read and Write has translates from 90 different languages on the spot in the moment. It is an example of access to literacy curriculum and access to real-time content. And it's so important. And we're really proud of this work and our partnership with DSL around implementing in various schools across New York City. And I will share the link in the chat here for all.
Thank you. Next is how will New York City Public School help parents guide their children in using AI responsibly at home and for homework?
Yeah, this goes back to us really having to set up briefings for families. And I want to be transparent, like Dr. P and her team, you know, Tara, everyone has been really amazing in pulling together my vision for AI, which I paused. Chancellor Banks started it, but it didn't feel like we were actually going anywhere. We were just talking about AI as its own thing. And AI is not really its own thing. Really what it is how are we looking at AI to enhance everything that we're doing? So enhance reads, enhance solves, enhance pathways, enhance parent leadership. That is how we're looking at AI. And separate and apart, what is this framework for how we're approaching the integration of AI into our existing initiatives, which is why we have the 4-part framework. So we have a lot of work to do and we have to work really quickly because AI is outpacing us. But I think setting up those briefings with parents and talking about the different tools that we support and what our vetting process is before an AI program is integrated into our school system. How can you use it? So like training sessions and webinars. Those are all things that we need to do so parents are a part of it. And that is going to help with the fear as well. You know, AI can be a tool or it could be a weapon, right? Just like all things technology. And we need to make sure that parents are included in this process so they understand how they themselves can leverage it to support their kids and support themselves. But we can't expect you all to do that without giving you that training. So more to come. This is something that we're working on every single day, and we need to pick up the pace, and that's something that we admit, but we did take that pause to be very intentional and figure ourselves out, because what we didn't want to do was just talk about something without an actual plan attached to it.
Chancellor, if I could add one piece, I just wanted to make sure that I put this out there so that families know that one of the things that we're focused on is reviewing with like laser focus our internal IRMA process so that we can ensure that as AI is rapidly being enhanced, that our internal policies are very strong to ensure safety of families. And we're also examining to make sure that our policies align with regulatory laws. And we throw the terminology around. So you'll hear things like FERPA, you'll hear things like COPA, all of the different regulatory structures that are in place. We are actively engaging in them with our governance structure to ensure that we have the strongest kind of guardrails and protection for our students, and also making sure that the AI tools that have been approved through our IRMA process are also utilizing what we call enterprise grade, which means we can control the protection levels that are placed around the tools for students and maintaining compliance for the tools that students are utilizing and that students do have access to. So this is at the forefront of everything that we're doing. And I just want to make sure that in this forum that you hear us say it so that you know that we do have our fingers all over making sure that these systems and structures are met from a safety standpoint, but also ensuring the bias that we know does exist within tools are also being examined and looked at to enhance the learning of students, but also to protect our students at the same time and support teachers, day to day. So it's an ongoing process, but the more questions, the more feedback we get from families, it only helps us to double down on how we structure the supports and systems across the city.
Thank you so much for that. Appreciate that. So that is all the questions that we received. Veronica, you have your hand up?
Yes, I do. It's not an AI question. It's just a question that I'm trying to find out what can be done with kids who have obviously have a problem, but parents do not want to acknowledge. And these kids are continued to abusing the teachers, hitting on them and the parents. What can we do to parents to understand that these kids need extra help?
Yeah, that goes back to the question that was asked earlier, and Chief Rampersant and I both talked about the relationship component. There are a number of issues why a parent sometimes won't accept the help. Sometimes a parent may feel like the school is not giving them options or that they're not supportive. Sometimes a parent is in denial. That's why the relationship building is so important. And I know that doesn't sound like the kind of answer that's so specific, and you might walk away saying, well, what does that mean? It's because it's a case by case basis. There's no one formula for how to break through to a parent who's going through that. I can tell you as a principal that I had some very, very challenged students, and some parents would come to me and say, I need help. I recognize this. And other parents would say, this only happens in your school. They're wonderful at home. And we knew that that wasn't true because siblings would tell us otherwise. But it was about establishing a relationship with the parent where I would tell them, if you need me because something's going on outside or you see something, call me. I'm here to help you. I'm school mom, you're home mom. I'm not judging you. I'm just trying to figure out a way to help. That's when we would see things change with those families. When I would start trying to build a relationship with the student. Sometimes that worked, sometimes it didn't. But at the very least, when we got the parent to understand that this was an intervention of support and that we were trying to give them options to move the child into a better place, both physically and emotionally, then we saw those barriers break down. But there's no magic solution for this. It really is a case by case basis. And so again, I know I say this a lot, but if there is a very specific case at a school that you're aware of, the best thing is to communicate that with Mark and me and Melinda, so that way among the three of us, we can work with the school to offer that support. But what we cannot subscribe to is a one size fits all approach. I will not, as a mother and as an educator, say we remove that student from the school. We suspend that student. We cannot do that, right? And so we need to look at the situation, meet with the parent, meet with the school leader, see what interventions and support we can offer at the school level. And if that's not enough, then what are the options? Because we know that while we offer support to one student, we cannot forget the rest of the school community. And I think that's what I'm hearing you say, that in some cases the teacher and the rest of the school community are suffering in this process. And we don't want that to happen either. So please connect with Mark. It sounds like there's a very specific case. Connect with Mark, Melendez, and me, so that way we can figure out the right intervention. So Mark and Melendez, if you can follow up, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that, Chancellor.
Thank you.
So I know that we're over time. I don't know if you're still good or
Unfortunately I have to go. I have to run. Today's Bronx Team Center Day. We're super excited to announce, you know, the temporary site, but then of course our long-term site. So I apologize I can't spend more time here, but I thank you for your questions. I thank you for your overwhelming support, for your grace, and as always, for being true partners with our team. So wish you a great day, and please, as always, follow up with anything specific.
Thank you so much. I'm also wishing you and your family a happy Thanksgiving to you and your team.
Yes, that's right. I'm so sorry. We're not going to see each other before Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, we are going to move on. Josephine, if you could share your screen, resolution for busing. It's not coming up.
1 second. It should now. Okay, you see that?
Yeah, you just got to go down to the resolution. There you go. Can you make it bigger or no?
I might have to share the actual. Can everybody see that?
Yeah, but it's like tiny. Everybody, I mean, the voting members have it in their in the email. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Okay. So Josephine,
Okay.
where's yours?
Oop. Okay, the resolution is to urge New York City Public Schools, the mayor office, and the New York City Council to establish clear standards of accountability, transparency, and safety across the New York City student transportation system, serving more than 150,000 student riders. Whereas more than 150,000 New York City public school students rely on the city's school transportation system every day, including children attending community school district schools, charter schools, District 75 programs, non-public and religious schools, early childhood centers, and specialized education sites where publicly funded services are provided. And whereas these students representing every borough, neighborhood, grade level, background, need, and socioeconomic group depends on consistent, safe, and reliable transportation as a core component of their access to a free public education. Whereas families across the city have experienced ongoing challenges in communication, transparency, reliability, and accountability within New York City pupil transportation system, affecting students' safety, attendance, well-being, and instructional time. Whereas parents and advocates have frequently documented delays, route disruptions, malfunctioning, or inaccessible GPS systems, extreme temperature conditions, inconsistent staffing, and reliable oversight despite repeated commitments to improve transportation services. Whereas safe, timely, and humane transportation is essential to ensuring that all New York City public school students can access their educational placements as required under state and federal law, and that the rights of the students with disabilities are protected and guaranteed. Be it resolved that New York City Public Schools, the Office of Pupil Transportation, the New York City Council, the Mayor Office shall adopt and enforce the following citywide standards before authorizing or renewing any long-term transportation contracts. Be it resolved that communication standards, all bus companies shall maintain dependable real-time communication channels, including dedicated work phones for attendants, drivers, dispatch, parents, schools to ensure a prompt notification of delays, emergencies, or route changes. GPS accuracy and accessibility. Every student route shall maintain accurate, consistent, real-time GPS tracking that is accessible to families, schools, and DOE administrators. Temperature safety. All vehicles shall maintain functioning dual air conditioning during warm months and heating during cold months to ensure safe travel for all students and riders. Service accountability. New York City Public Schools and OPT shall establish clear performance benchmarks for accountability and enforceable consequences, including liquidated damages for bus companies that fail to meet communication safety, reliability, or service standards. One second. Before my computer dies. Modernized routing. OPT shall invest in modern routing technology and operational systems that reduce travel time, improve efficiency, and strengthen oversight for all student riders. Public transparency of data. New York City Public Schools shall publicly release daily transportation performances data, including GPS usage, on-time performance, service delays, and route issues, and shall upload this data to New York City Open Data, disaggregated by route and time of day, and complaint response requirements. OPT shall issue written updates to parents regarding complaint resolutions within 5 business days. Travel time limits. New York City Public Schools, OPT, and all contracted bus companies shall ensure that no student's ride exceeds 90 minutes under any circumstances. IEP and 504 compliance. All transportation contracts shall prioritize compliance with IEP mandated transportation and 504 accommodations as primary criteria in contract selection and ongoing service delivery, ensuring that accommodations are provided and stipulated. Be it further resolved that New York City Public Schools and OPT shall reform the transportation contract bidding process so that awards are determined not solely by lowest cost, but by quality of service, safety, compliance, workforce stability, compliance with IEP mandated transportation requirements, and adherence to the standard outlined in this resolution. And be it further resolved that New York City Public Schools shall adopt and implement the School Bus Bill of Rights as developed by parents to improve school transportation, which includes the following essential features: routing, staffing, inclusive hiring and internships, safety and health, multilingual communication, access and accommodations, accountability, transparency, governance. And be it further resolved that New York City Public Schools shall establish 2 distinct bodies to ensure transparency, equity, and accountability in student transportation. A permanent student transportation oversight committee composed of parents, students, advocates, bus workers, educators, disability rights representatives, union reps, OPT, policymakers, and DOE officials empowered to monitor ongoing compliance, review complaints, evaluate performance data, and recommend policy changes with meaningful authority to assure accountability. An immediate contract development working group composed of the same stakeholders tasked with negotiating the terms of a contract extension of no more than 2 years that balances the needs of bus companies, workers, families, and riders, while simultaneously developing comprehensive new contract requirements that incorporate the standards in this resolution. Be it further resolved that New York City Public Schools shall include parents, students, advocacy representatives in the development of all transportation contracts to ensure transparency, equity, and accountability. And be it further resolved that the panel for educational policy shall not approve any transportation contract extension exceeding 2 years, and any extension must be contingent upon demonstrated progress toward meeting the standards outlined in this resolution, active participation of the contract development working group, implementation of the School Bus Bill of Rights provisions, highlights listed here, rejections of any new RFP that fails to incorporate these requirements and or omits the voice of families, advocates, workers, and students from the process. And be it further resolved that these standards shall ensure that the rights of students with and without disabilities are protected, respected, and no longer violated. Oop. And no longer violated. Oop. Through inadequate transportation services. Some suggested additions. New York City Public Schools and OPT shall require all contracted vendors to publicly report monthly staffing levels, vacancy rates, attendance rates, and substitute coverage, disaggregated by borough and depot to ensure adequate staffing for safe and timely service. OPT shall establish minimum annual training standards for all drivers and attendants, including disability awareness, de-escalation, communication protocols, and temperature safety procedures. OPT shall establish an emergency routing protocol, guaranteeing temporary same-day or next-day transportation solutions for students experiencing sudden displacement, housing insecurity, or safety-related relocations. Excuse me. And current contingency measures do not guarantee support for students facing sudden displacement housing, domestic violence relocations, temporary stays with relatives, address instability or out-of-district placements protected under McKinney-Vento. OPT also does not guarantee same-day or next-day emergency service, as approvals depend on internal case-by-case decisions. And this is submitted to the New York City Council, New York City Public Schools Chancellor and Cabinet, and the New York City Mayor's Office.
Thank you, Josephine. So I should have had someone motion, asked for motion. So can someone make a motion?
I make a motion for
Thank
the
you.
resolution.
Thank you, Vandana. Second?
Second by Samuel.
Thank you. So we can open it up to questions, to debate. Anyone?
I have a motion for an amendment, if I can.
Okay, what is the amendment?
So in the last section, where the bullets are, where there's a list that it says what should be included in a contract, like that they shouldn't have a longer term. At the end of that, I'd like to add a bullet that says mandating the inclusion of a cancellation convenience clause in all bus contracts. And I'll put that in the chat as well.
Okay. Would someone like to second the amendment? Thank you, Caroline.
And just so everyone knows that, so that DOE can cancel if they're not meeting the terms of their contract.
That is a good amendment. Any debate? Any questions? Okay, so we can bring it to a vote. We will do the vote by roll call. Josephine, you want to take the roll call vote? So we're going to vote in favor or opposed, so yes or no, to make it simple.
Okay, 1 second.
So you can vote yes, no, or abstain.
District 2. District 3.
Yes.
District 4.
Yes.
District 6.
She wrote yes in the chat.
Okay. District 11. District 15,
Yes.
District 17,
Yes.
District 20, yes. District 21,
Yes.
District 22,
Yeah.
District 23, District 25,
Yes.
District 26, District 28, District 29,
Yes.
District 30,
Yes.
District 31,
Yes.
District 75, Brooklyn High Schools,
Yes.
Bronx, Rima, Manhattan High Schools, and Staten Island High Schools.
Yes.
Did I miss anybody? Okay, that's everybody.
Okay, we have 13 yeses, so the resolution passed. Thank you, everyone. And now we're going to move on. We have a position letter. Josephine, can you share your screen?
This one I have to share the actual.
Becca?
All right, so this is a letter regarding CPAC calling for the Mayor-elect Mamdani to retain Chancellor Melissa Aviles Ramos to ensure continuity and progress for New York City public schools, students, and families. To the incoming New York City administration, on behalf of the Chancellor's Parent Advisory Council, the body that represents president's councils across all 32 community school districts, 5 borough high school councils, and District 75, we urge you to retain Chancellor Melissa Aviles Ramos as Chancellor of New York City Public Schools. Families across the city deserve stability, experienced leadership, and continuity during this critical transition. New York City Public Schools has seen real measurable progress under Chancellor Aviles Ramos, alongside steady leadership through the yellow bus crisis, as well as notable progress in New York State ELA and math scores, and her work creating Project Open Arms. In a system this large, continuity matters. Disrupting leadership now would jeopardize our gains in instruction and derail urgent transportation fixes that directly affect our most vulnerable students system-wide. For decades, the Chancellor has shown unwavering commitment to New York City's children. Her knowledge of the school system inside and out, past and present, is unmatched. At a time when students and families face unprecedented challenges and require consistent, trusted leadership, removing her would create unnecessary disruption and weaken the progress underway. Why continuity under Chancellor Aviles Ramos matters. Students' outcomes are moving in the right direction. NYCPS reports that the highest ELA and math proficiency since 2012, with year-over-year gains of 7.2 points in ELA and 3.5 points in math between 2024 and 25. These gains are tied to sustained system-wide priorities, New York City Reads, New York City Solves, and student pathways that have been expanded to reach tens of thousands more students, keeping the Chancellor keeps these initiatives on track. Crisis leading on busing. When a citywide transportation disruption threatened service for roughly 150,000 students this fall, the Chancellor and New York City Public Schools executed emergency extensions with bus companies, activated a contingency planning, and publicly communicated options to families while negotiations continued, ultimately averting a catastrophic shutdown. That's steady management under pressure, and it protected students with disabilities, those in temporary housing, and foster care youth who depend on yellow buses every single day. trust and collaboration with parent leadership. CPAC's mission to elevate, sorry, I got a page up, to elevate parent voices and concerns and to advise the Chancellor. Under Chancellor Aviles Ramos, our engagement has been substantive and solutions focused. The relationship between parents and the Chancellor working in tandem is not easily replaced, and it is essential to meeting classroom transportation and safety challenges on a scale. She gave back the ability to parents to not just be engaged, but to be included, involved, and empowered, to be real agents of change in New York City public schools, which has been missing for a very long time. Broad public confidence. Even outside City Hall, education stakeholders have signaled willingness to maintain stability at the top of New York City public schools, recognizing the cost of abrupt leadership change. The city cannot afford to reset strategies midstream. We feel that a transparent, merit-based, community-informed process should be developed for future chancellor selection. In fact, we welcome the opportunity to partner with the new administration to design such a process, one that reflects the needs, values, and lived experiences of New York City public school families. But until such a system is thoughtfully created and implemented, the current chancellor should remain in place. And once that process is established, she must be considered as a candidate, with her extensive experience and demonstrated leadership weighed fairly alongside any applicant. What CPAC asked City Hall to sustain with the Chancellor's leadership. New York City stands at a pivotal moment. With a new administration and a Chancellor who deeply understands the system, we have a real opportunity to redefine what public education can and should be rooted in equity, the transparency, authentic family partnership. Rebuilding trust and transforming outcomes will require strong, informed leadership that does not need a learning curve. We cannot afford to lose momentum. Chancellor Aviles Ramos has been the steady hand guiding these actions and the instructional gains behind them. CPAC therefore respectfully but unequivocally calls for you to retain Chancellor Melissa Aviles Ramos so we can continue the work we've started together. As parent leaders elected across every borough citywide, representing communities of every background and need, we urge you to prioritize what is best for our children, stability, expertise, and a genuine commitment to collaborative change. Families are watching and we are ready to work alongside you. We thank you for your consideration and look forward to your leadership and partnership with New York City families.
Thank you. Someone likes to make a motion? Oh, Caroline, thank you. Someone like to second it?
I'll
District
second the
31,
motion.
second, yeah.
I heard Vandana and Melissa, so I guess we'll second and third it. Any questions or debate on the position letter? Okay, quiet group today. I guess we'll bring it to a vote.
Okay. District 2. District 3.
4. Yes.
I'm sorry. District 3 said yes.
Yes, sorry.
District 4.
Yes.
Okay. District 6. District 11. District 15.
Yes.
District 17.
She left. District
Okay.
11 wrote yes in the chat, so did 6.
Okay. District 20, yes. District 21.
Yes.
District 22.
Yes.
District 23.
Wrote yes in the chat.
Okay. District 25.
Yes in the chat.
District 26. District 28. District 29.
Yes.
District 30.
Yes.
District 31.
Yes.
District 75.
Absolutely.
Brooklyn High Schools.
Yes.
Bronx High School,
She wrote yes in the chat.
Manhattan High School,
They're not here.
and Staten Island.
Yes.
Okay. Am I missing anybody?
Just lost count. I'm sorry.
That's 17.
Okay, so the position letter passes. Thank you all for that. And we are now going to move on to Anthony's hot topics. We're going to learn together, lead together, and make a difference together. So, Anthony, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. So I created a slide based on topics that have came up in the last couple of months, just to bring it to everybody awareness, and to ensure that we are following Chancellor's regulations. So give me 1 second while I share my screen. Oh, sorry. Okay. I think there's something going on with Google today because you're not the only one that's having problems.
They keep confirming that.
Oh, wait, we got somewhere. Okay, so I'm gonna go a little quick because I know we're over time. So this is the parent leadership structures. The two that we're going to be speaking about today are PAPTAs on the school level, and then President's Council on the district level. So as we all know, PAPTAs do the following things. They discuss needs and concerns with families. They consult with the principals on parent concerns, and they bring information to families at their meetings, and fundraise to support schools. So one of the most important things that we have to ingrain in every PAPTA President's Council is that Chancellor's regulation is the primary document for all PA and PTAs and President's Councils. Your bylaws is a secondary document that establishes basically like protocols and governs the PAPTA or President's Council. If there are any provisions in your bylaws that conflict with the regulations basically make it null and void. So if anything contradicts, the Chancellor's regulation supersedes anything that your bylaw states. So eligibility, we all know you need to be a parent member. And here below is the definition of a parent member. I'm not going to read it to you because we are pressed in time. However, here are the mandatory executive board positions for PAs and PTAs. Now, one thing that we have to note, during election season, we have to pay attention to our bylaws to make sure that if it states that we have co-presidents or co-secretaries or co-treasurers, right? Because that gives an opportunity for people to run together and execute the work. Any other positions beside this are non-mandatory members. That could be anything such as a vice president. I know some schools have tech people and things of that nature. When it comes to co-presidents, however, we have to make sure that if one person is removed or steps down, resigns, that other person has the opportunity to say, I want to stay in the seat by myself, or I resign as well. and then an expedited election will have to take place to fill that vacancy. Terms of office. This is important, especially with president's councils, because I see this happen a lot. Your term starts July 1st and ends June 30th of the following year. Okay? What this means is that as of June 30th, you are no longer the executive board of the PAPTA President's Council. After that day, if you did not host any elections, it is the district or principal's responsibility to convene the meeting, send out the agendas, things of that nature about that election that will take place. This is only when we're doing fall elections, not spring, because it's after June 30th. Just want to make that sure. And then term limits. Term limits just restricts the number of terms a person can serve, and that will be stated on your bylaws. If there's no term limits on your bylaws, then you can run as long as you have a child in the school. So as I said before, spring elections timeframes usually happen April 1st to the last day of school. One thing that is important is that the executive board notifies the principal by April 1st of when the election will happen. Expedited elections are anything, so there's a couple of reasons why you would hold an expedited election. If something could not be filled by succession, if you have that in your bylaws, as we spoke about before, establishing a new PTA for a new school, or reestablishing a PTA because you're missing positions, or didn't hold any meetings or anything of that nature. So this is one of the most important things that I want you to take away from today. Representatives or designee. When it comes to, before we go back there, the PTA president is the mandatory member on the president's council. If that president cannot join the president's council meeting, they have to appoint a member of their membership, so a member, to then fill or be that representative. However, before that happens, you have to make sure that the general membership approves of that appointee, right? And you do that at a general membership meeting by voting. So you make a motion, you vote. Everything that I just mentioned must be mentioned in the minutes of that meeting. Why? Because if it is President's Council rep, they're going to ask for those minutes to show that either the rep has changed or it is not the president, so that we can send out the meeting links to you. So one other important thing, that representative, if it's not the president, it must state that on your PAPTA's election certification form. Now we're going to go into the President's Council. Basically, the President's Council unites all PTAs to share best practices, to do trainings, to collaborate with the superintendent, and represents all the PTAs citywide. President's Council eligibility. To be on President's Council, you need to be a president of a PTA or a rep, like we spoke about earlier. The mandatory members are the same as the PTA, unless you do not have a bank account. If you do not have a bank account, you do not need a treasurer. but some people still keep it. That's fine as well. The term for President's Council is the same. It's a 1-year term, as you see here, and the same applies for term limits. So election time frame for President's Council. So President's Council should be elected by the 30th of June. The superintendent must be notified of the election that is about to take place by June 1st. If the election is not completed by June 30th, again, the superintendent will convene the meeting by September 30th. So that is the deadline date to have completed President's Council election. However, there are cases where they can't make quorum and things like that, where it may proceed into the other months. So this is membership as well. So as I said before, the President Council President is automatically eligible for CPAC. If they can't make it, they can appoint a representative. However, it has to be approved by vote by the general membership and recorded in the minutes and President's Council election certification form. And then last but not least is the citywide level, which we're not going to get into today. But basically that represents all the president's councils within the district. They help advise or influence DOE policies and decision making, and basically take information from the top and trickle it down to their PAPTAs. Thank you. I know I went quick because we were pressed for time. However, I will take any questions if you have. Let me stop sharing my screen.
If you have questions for Anthony, please use the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. There's a question in the chat. What is the best practice when an elected PAPTA executive board member refuses to resign, but also refuses to participate, won't speak with the board, and hasn't attended meetings for months? How should one proceed according to A660?
Yeah, so the general membership can basically create a committee to review to make sure that whoever that role is was not following the roles and responsibilities of that job. That committee will review all that information. So that's created in one meeting, and then in the next meeting, the general membership will vote to remove that member. That's only in the cases that they do not want to resign, or if issues have happened, that there is physical threat, or they haven't been following the roles and responsibilities outlined in the regs and your bylaws.
Usually, just to add to what Anthony said, usually in the bylaws, it does have somewhere that states that if you don't attend so many meetings, whether it's consecutive or otherwise, that they can be removed. So if they're not there for attendance, that's why attendance is so important, because you should be marking people, especially in your minutes. It should be recorded whether people are excused or not excused. Because if you just mark them as absent, then it's really not accurate. You don't know if they were excused or unexcused. So in your minutes, you should state whether they're excused or unexcused. Ashley, you have a question?
I do. What if, number one, what if you have incomplete bylaws that have been shared with council members? And how can FLCs be better supported with ensuring that the members actually attend the meetings? So for example, from what I have gone through, I have an FLC who basically is like, well, if the parents can't make the President's Council meetings, you know, we don't have a right to force them. We can't really say that these are mandatory. And then that's exactly why quorum ends up not being met. And like I said, there's also incomplete bylaws, so everything keeps changing without anything being done official. So I'm not sure how, you know, what to do.
Okay, so for the first question that you asked, if your bylaws are incomplete, Chancellor's regulation is the document that you should be referring to then, until the document or the bylaws are amended. As you said, parent leaders are autonomous. We can't force them to go to meetings. However, when you don't, they have roles and responsibilities. And as we stated before, if they're not meeting their roles and responsibilities, they can be removed. That's the last resort. But every effort should be made to try to communicate with the individual to see what's going on. Maybe there's a family issue. Maybe they just can't go to the meeting, and that's when you get the rep. It's okay to designate or to appoint a rep to go to the meetings for you. That's why they're there. And that's why we should use it. We should make sure, however, that they're going through the proper protocol to select or appoint that designee.
Got it. And what if the FLC or President's Council does not know or have that information to do that?
What information? They don't know how to appoint somebody? Well, it's the council that should be doing that, not the FLC. The FLC should know the process though to support their district council if need be. But it is because president's councils and PTAs are autonomous bodies, they should be doing that work themselves.
So, what if the parent has not, like, they have no experience? This is like their first time, so they don't know, they don't have that information. And that's why I mentioned FLC, because they support President's Council with, you know, making sure they have those bylaws fully, completely done and being able to support President's Council completely. However, some FLCs do not do that. So president's councils are unable to run correctly and actually, you know, hold to the titles that they have so that they can, you know, do their roles, you know, the way they're supposed to.
So luckily they have you that you can advocate for them. You can bring them the FLT to CPAC for support or to us at FACE for support. And we can go through the process with them and ensuring that they know how to support their president's councils and PTAs within their district.
Got it. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Okay, so if there's no other questions, we'd just like to thank you all for being here, for your dedication to our children. We'd like to wish everyone and their families a happy Thanksgiving, and we look forward to seeing you at our next meeting on December 11th. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Thank you,
A
Melissa.
second. Second by Samuel.
Thank you, Rima. All right, everyone, have a great day. I'm going to stop the live stream.